How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
My name is Chris.
My name is Ian, and you guys are here watching the Two Dudes One Up Gaming Podcast. Got to start it right out of the gate and say, hey, Chris, how was your week?
Dude, my week was good. I have been doing one thing all week. Exactly one thing.
Oh, what is this one thing that you've been doing all week?
I've been hunting monsters, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Like across the world? Are you like hunting Pokemon?
Like all the whole world, all across the world, hunting monsters. Yeah. Man, how about you? How was your week?
It's been good. It was a good work week, and then all weekend I just sat at home and played video games. I think played some Monster Hunter World with you on Saturday, and then spent all day catching up on Destiny 2. Grinded out my Purple Solstice Legendary gear, and just trying to get those triumph points so I can get my free T-shirt, and just trying to get that knocked out of the way.
I think the T-shirt's
Uh,
actually $30. I think you still have to buy it. It just gives you a discount code to get it away from $7,777
but
down to thirty
that's
bucks.
fine. I'd buy it. It's one of
Yeah.
those like I haven't like this is for me, like I know they've done it a few times, but this is the first time I've ever qualified for like a gaming T-shirt for
Mhm.
accomplishing a goal. So I think I'll just buy it for posterity's
Oh yeah, it's really
sake.
cool.
Also, yeah, and if I go to Guardian Con next year or something, like I'll wear it, and somebody will be like, "Oh, I can't believe you did all that." And I'll be like, "Oh, or, like I'm way better than you," or whatever. However you're supposed to react to that kind of
Get
deal.
good.
Yeah, get good, son. But yeah, it's gonna be a good week for gaming this week. There's a lot of stuff coming out. There's a lot
There's,
of interesting stuff coming out.
there's some stuff that
I
came
know.
out. What
Technically today,
3 hours ago?
yeah, which I already have now downloaded on my computer. But
All right.
I do want to start off. I do want to start off by talking about a game on my console of preference, which would be the Nintendo Switch. A game called Cosmic Star Heroine. You actually turned me onto this game on the PC when it came out on Steam a couple months back. It's another one of those
This was
8-bit
like a year ago. This was
style.
this was
Was it?
this is not
Man,
new.
no, it's definitely a port for the Switch, but
Yeah,
I
the
time's
game
been
is
flying, man.
so hype. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty hype. For those fans of like 16-bit graphics that like RPGs, like this is straight up for you.
Oh yeah.
It's got a
It's
really
beautiful.
interesting storyline, some interesting characters, and it's I hope it's going to be a cool port. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Oh
going to
yeah.
play real well on the Switch, and
Dude,
it's going to be awesome. To take
this
it
will
on the
be
go.
your new game to play on airplanes. It's
I got to
good.
finish Octopath Traveler first,
All
but
right,
yeah,
fair
no,
enough,
it'll
fair
be
enough.
good.
But this should be your next one.
Yeah, this will probably definitely be on the list. Man,
Good
I
stuff.
mean, there's a whole list of stuff. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up that you're
One that
excited
I
for?
thought was sort of interesting was Project Skylab. Um,
See, I tried to Google it and I couldn't find anything on it.
yeah, it's so Project Skylab is being developed by this guy who. So Project Skylab is also the name of a NASA project, um, and it's a NASA project that has to do with a lab on Mars. And so this
Okay.
game is actually a survival on Mars kind of game. It's a first person situation, and essentially the basis of the plot is that you you're on Mars and there's been this disaster and you have been left behind. Your team has left you and you don't remember it. You were unconscious. So you have to figure out like what happened, why did the team leave, can you send for help, like what like all that stuff. So it looks really interesting. And it is based on a NASA thing, which is pretty cool. I always love seeing like crazy out of the blue like stuff like this. I don't know. I just thought it was really cool.
Okay.
I can't say as it looks like it's gonna be a great game. Like the graphics are nice, but it's still interesting. I'm gonna check it out at some point.
Okay. Very cool. Very, very, very cool. I know another game I wanted to talk about briefly is a game coming out for the PC and the PS4. It's being released tomorrow. It's called Death's Gambit. It's another action adventure game. That the pixel graphics that I love so much. What I think is super interesting about it, though, it's being published by Adult Swim, and it's not based off of any cartoon content that I'm aware of. So I think this is one of their first like releases that are outside of like we're supporting one of our cartoons with this game. So it looks pretty interesting to me. It's pretty flexible in what you can do in an action RPG setting. So you're gonna have plenty of skill trees to kind of make your way down. And I think it's going for about $20. There's a bunch of trailers online. I think there was like 2 or 3 of them. One of them even had some gameplay. It looks pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of like Castlevania with a little bit of a RPG elements to it.
Okay, nice. Also coming out tomorrow on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC is the first episode of the last season of The Walking Dead, made by Telltale. Okay. So if you have been following that at all, you'll know there have been 3 seasons of it already. In the first season, you play as Lee. In the second season, you play as Clementine. In the third season, you play as a guy who's... I forget his name. He's there, but he's with Clementine. And then in the this new one, I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. I've enjoyed that series quite a bit. I think the second season was less enjoyable, but it was still a good one. Have you played them?
I played the first season, but I haven't played anything past the first season. Because I think the first season was 5 episodes. I played through those, and it's one of the, it's a Telltale game, so it's like every season's 5 episodes, and then you got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I'm really waiting for. Why can't I remember the name of it right now? It's the wolf one.
Wolf Among Us.
Yeah, Wolf Among Us. I'm waiting for the next season for that one. Yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
So, and I know that one was based off of a graphic novel, so I'm excited to see what they come up with out. So I heard rumor that there's another one coming up. I just haven't heard anything in a while about it.
Yeah. No, I'm on the same page with that one. Yeah, it's there's something in the works. We know they're working on it.
Yeah.
Also coming out on the PS4 and Xbox One tomorrow is the XCOM 2 collection. So if you've been looking forward to playing some XCOM, now's your chance.
Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, XCOM's been around forever. Everybody kind of has a good idea about what it is and how the gameplay is. So don't really need to talk too much about that.
Most modern evolution of the genre of tactical strategy. So
yeah, and it does a really good job at it. I do know also tomorrow coming out for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC is a game called TerraTech. It's a sandbox adventure game where you kind of design and build your own creations through like combat. It's like Minecraft. So it's physics-based construction, which is kind of cool because it kind of takes like aspects of like Kerbal Space Program to a degree and mixes it with Minecraft. So you can't just build anything that you want. Like it's got to be within the physics engine, which I think is pretty cool.
All right.
Oh man, what else is coming out tomorrow?
World of Warcraft is out. Technically,
yeah. Actually, that came out. That came out. Yep. Technically, the release date is the 14th, which would be tomorrow. But for what I know, it is already out.
Yes, it launched at 6 p.m. today.
Yep, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Yep, and I already have it, and I believe it's on my computer right now.
And if you are,
if you're one of the people who
got that the second that it came out, then hello YouTube.
Yeah, like literally, I just got the notification saying that it is ready to play.
Sweet.
So there it is. Yeah. Rest in peace, my life. I will probably
we're gonna miss you in Monster Hunter, but I hope you enjoy yourself.
Yep. My shower will be needing some love here in about a week. So,
All right. And then the last thing I want to talk about is Graveyard Keeper, which is coming out on Wednesday. This has been on my Steam wish list since I heard about it, since like the first day it was on Steam. This is basically Stardew Valley, but if you were in charge of a graveyard. And it's got little funny things
that's super cool.
like there are ghosts and spirits, and you deal with like how do you like manage a graveyard, but it also so there's like I don't know. It looks like a really interesting concept, and I definitely want to try it out. So I will be taking some time on Wednesday, and I will be keeping a graveyard. So
yeah,
that looks fun.
I think that's pretty much it for games being released over the course of this week. I am posting in our Discord, which if you guys would like to follow our Discord, I try to keep some stuff up every couple of days or at least once a week. I am putting in a article right now for some quick World of Warcraft lore, just a primer to get people kind of prepped into the new expansion. If you're coming back to World of Warcraft from a long break, or you just want to know a little bit more about like the history of the characters and so on and so forth, why the Alliance and the Horde are fighting, I just put it in the Discord. It should give you a pretty good basis.
Why are they fighting? They just always have been.
Yeah, it's Hatfield and McCoy.
That's how it is.
You know? Yeah. So yeah, just hop into the Discord, check it out, and let us know what you think. I mean, yeah, super cool. News? Anything going on in the news world for this week?
So you know me, I love talking about mods. I love it whenever a Total Conversion mod comes out, and I love the hell out of the fact that they've been coming out so frequently recently. In the past year, there have been 5 crazy ones that came out, and this is our 5th crazy one. So Half-Life Echoes has been released today. Now, this is not made by Valve. It's not sponsored by Gabe or anything like that. It's a fan-made Total Conversion for the original Half-Life. Specifically, this is for the Steam version of Half-Life, not the CD-ROM version. That won't work. And Half-Life Source also will not work. It has to be Half-Life on Steam.
Okay.
Just that one.
That one.
Yeah, just that one. But it replaces the entire storyline. It does all the new levels, new textures. I think there were like 15 levels, I want to say. I don't remember the number. Like a bunch of different levels, like 12 or 15 or something. New levels that you can play through. And it takes place from the perspective of another person in Black Mesa. So it's just another person who was there while this was happening, and what did they do and how did they deal with it. So I look forward to seeing that. The trailer that I saw made it out to look like it could have been a little bit of like a horror theme. Which should be really interesting in terms of that universe. I could really see something like that playing very well. So, look forward to that. It's out now. If you want to play it, go get it. It's for free. Just go get it. I will grab the linkity-boo and send that to you in the Discord right now. Actually, no, cool. I won't. Well, I will send it to Ian, and Ian will put it in the Discord, because if I change Ian's screen, you will lose his picture.
That's fair. So I will post that. If you want to go down the next news article, I'll post that into the chat.
So this one, next one, I think is really cool. So you know that I work in programming. I make computers do my bidding. So there's a game called Hacknet that came out not too long ago. I believe 2014, maybe 16. Yeah, not too long ago.
I vaguely remember this game. I think I have it in my Steam library.
Yeah. So this, I like playing games like this. I enjoy them quite a bit. There was one that came out in, I want to say 2001 or 2003 maybe, called Uplink, Hacker Elite, that you'll know is one of my favorite games. But Hacknet is unique in that it's actually fairly close to what it would actually be like to do this kind of thing. It does simplify some things, and it cuts out a lot of like busy work. It takes some liberties, but it, by and large, it actually uses most of like the proper principles for how you would hack something. More specifically,
I remember it being really I don't want to say anal retentive, but it definitely put a note on like, be careful about what you do, clean up your steps as you go, and make sure that you don't leave anything behind.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing is that's actually one of the things that I thought was a little oversimplified in that game.
Okay.
Because like cleaning up your tracks on the internet is there's a lot that goes into that. And I'll just leave it that way. But the game has a focus on authenticity. In fact, everything you do is actually done in a real Unix shell. So every command that you can use in that game, you can use on a real Unix shell. But the reason this game comes up in the news is that the developer has decided that they're going to go ahead and sell DRM-free copies in bulk to educational institutions at half price.
Oh, so, that's super cool.
Yeah, so if you work for a school and you have an IT department and you want to teach your kids about how to be safe on the internet, how to like do investigation, or if you are curious about putting together a course on penetration testing or pen testing, this would be a really good opportunity for that. I don't know what the minimum purchase is. I haven't looked like super deeply into it, but just getting this game for half off is already like it's already like $20 or something. It's actually I think right now it's on Steam sale for $2. But I think in general it's $20 or so, and so getting it for $10 per license key, it seems like a very open system. The way the article that I was reading said that if you're an educational institution, you send them an email saying how many license keys you want to buy, and they will send you that number of keys. But of course, you don't need them. It's DRM free, so they'll send you a bill for those keys. You pay them. They then send you the executable that you can install on as many computers as you have paid for using the Honor system. So
Yeah.
in terms of like an educational thing, that's really solid. I'm sure there's a little bit of like we want to get some money in on this, but I really like this as a they managed to get Minecraft into schools. Why can't we get this in?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
as far as something that like should be taught in schools, I'm a big supporter of teaching basic level programming and internet safety in schools. I think that's something that these days you need to know. So
Yeah,
getting
I
this
agree.
in there, I think would be really cool. I hope this works out for them.
Right. I got a good feeling about it. I don't know if you were aware, but this last weekend was the Black Ops 4 multiplayer beta.
I heard about that. Yeah.
I don't know if you. Yeah, so that went over the course of the weekend. It's over now. However, Activision has come out and said, "Hey, don't delete your client. We're going to give it an update in September. For in time for another multiplayer beta. We'll probably it may have the Blackout Battle Royale mode in it. It may not, but they're saying like just if you've got it and you're interested in playing it again, don't delete the client. We're just going to update it. This way you don't have to re-download the whole thing all over again come September. Because apparently it was a pretty big file. So, if you got it, great, awesome, hold on to it, Just, it'll come out soon enough. September's right around the corner.
Yeah. Next month even.
So, yeah. So, and it'll help those guys out in their bandwidth when the next beta comes out, which will be a much bigger beta.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, so we got some Elder Scrolls news coming around.
Okay.
So Elder Scrolls Legends, which as you might know is the TCG trading card game for Elder Scrolls, the computer game, so it's out on PC. It's been out for a while, and they've been stating that they're going to be releasing it on consoles. But Pete Hines, who is at Bethesda, has come out and said that they will only launch on consoles that support crossplay. And that's a roundabout way of saying this will not come out on PS4. Sony has so far been very, very resistant to any crossplay. As of this moment, there is no crossplay on any of their games on any of their platforms. Actually, Ian, you might know this because I was curious. Is Fortnite available on PS4?
Yes,
it is.
Fortnite is available on PS4. It does not have cross-platform play, I believe.
Yeah, I figured. That's just the way Sony's working these days. Anyway, so in my opinion,
I lied. It does have cross-platform for PS4.
Really?
Yeah, cross-platform, cross-play between the PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, Mac, and mobile.
Wow. Okay, I did not know they got it on there. All right, 6. So there's at least one. But Sony is extremely resistant to this idea.
Yeah, usually they're really, really bad about it.
So I think that Pete is taking a shot at Sony on this one. He wants to be able to get crossplay, and I think this lines up pretty well with what Todd Howard said at E3 when he's talking about Fallout 76. Quote, "We would love to do that, but right now that's not possible because Sony isn't being as helpful as we want them to be." So that's that. Fallout, or rather, Elder Scrolls Legends will probably not come out on PS4. Probably not.
Probably not.
And in more Bethesda news, because that's just what's happening this week, you may have heard that there was a guy who was selling a copy of, I think it was Evil Within 2, is that right? Yeah, Evil Within 2 on Amazon. And Bethesda shut it down. They sent him a letter that said, hey, take this off or there will be legal penalties. So he removed the listing on Amazon. That guy's name was Ryan Hupp, the guy who had the posting. So they got a lot of really bad press for this, and Pete Hines again came out and said a few things about why this decision was made. So I've just got two quotes, and I'm just going to read them off for you. So Pete Hines says this: "You could have opened it up, played it for 5 hours, taken whatever inserts or stuff was in there, put it back in shrink wrap, and said, 'Hey, this is new.' It's not new. You owned it. You bought it. So just list it as a used title. That's it. That's the end of the argument." So in direct statement to it, he's saying that technically it could have been compromised, and they don't want to have that be sold as new. And his second quote says this: "If you want to sell your copy of the game, it's pre-owned. You can't say that it's new because I have no way to verify that, and ultimately that person is our customer. We have to deal with them,
Right.
and if there's stuff missing or things that have happened, then we're the ones that are going to have to make it right." So basically, they're saying if you're going to be selling a game that you bought, like if there's no way to prove that the CD key or that the registration for it has not been activated or taken or whatever, then put it as pre-owned, even if it's still in a shrink wrap, because they're going to have to take you
Right.
down. It sounds very much like a cover your ass situation, right? It's Bethesda doesn't want to be caught up in liability for something that they don't have control over. Yeah.
Right.
So that's, I mean, I get it. Like, without an explanation, it sounds like pretty bad press, but with an explanation, I get it. I understand, you know? So,
Okay.
that's it. That's all the news I have.
All right. Well, I've got a couple of things here.
Hey.
I know you actually. I'm surprised that you didn't throw this up here. Did you know that Monster Hunter World had recently set a record for the biggest Japanese launch on Steam of all time?
I did not. Did you know that Monster Hunter World is currently sitting at 46% on Steam?
I did know that. Did you know that Monster Hunter World has been removed from Tencent's Wii game platform in China? They are no longer selling Monster Hunter World in China right now, and there really isn't a reason why. No one really knows why at this point. They know that the Chinese regulators have received a large number of complaints about the game prior to the cancellation of its operating license. I think it's got some stuff to do with Tencent and Capcom, and some bitter relationships between the two of them there. So who knows? Maybe it'll come back up. But for now, China, I'm sorry, there's no Monster Hunter World for you at this point in time. And on that note, one last piece of news that I've got that is relevant to stuff that we enjoy. Bungie, it is noted at this point in time that there will be I can't guarantee that there will be, but it is noted that there is a secret mission that may be released next week called Cade's Spicy Ramen.
Oh.
I don't know if you were aware of this during the last week of the Solstice of Heroes event going on. Everyone knows Cade loves his ramen. Even we even got an emote about it.
Yep.
But it appears like there's a quest that it's appearing on Light.gg, Destiny Tracker, and Planet Destiny. And in all of the instances, it bears the Solstice of Hero icons, which means that it's probably either hidden right now or will appear during the final week, which ends on Tuesday, the August 28th. Planet Destiny also the listing also shows what appears to be the first step in the quest, which is to go to the ramen shop in the tower. I don't know if you knew there was a ramen shop in the tower, but there is.
I've walked by it, yeah.
Yeah. So there's no information about rewards or anything like that yet, but they're just saying, hey, look, this is in this has been found and it's got the icon, so be prepared. Who knows?
All right.
Could be that step before the end of the series, so we all get an idea about what's going on with Cade. Because those who've been paying attention, Cade is going to be removed from us sometime rather sooner than later, which is a bummer because he's one of my favorite characters. Okay.
Moment of silence for
that's
Cade there.
about
all right. So we got a segment
about all.
this week. We're talking about movie spin-off games.
Yes, these are games based off of movies, not movies based off of games.
Right,
Although
and
we may
we
discuss
have
some
tried
of
to
that
keep
later on.
We've tried to keep this list specifically to games that were made as a cash grab for a movie. So a game that would not have existed had its corresponding movie not been there. So stuff like Batman Arkham Asylum, that kind of stuff, that's not based off of a movie, that's a big franchise. That probably would have happened either way, right? So we're not including stuff like that. We're looking for things that specifically were done because of the movie.
Right.
So,
that reference things in the movie inside of the game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with the bad one here.
Do it.
And I feel like this is the ultimate bad one.
Yeah.
This was a game that came out for the Atari back in 1982. It was called E.T. the Extraterrestrial. This game was made after the E.T. movie was released. It is terrible. Even for 1982 video game standards, the graphics are garbage. People have quoted this to be the reason that the gaming industry crashed in 1983. I heard a rumor that they had gathered up all of the copies of E.T. the Extraterrestrial that they could find, and they buried it in the desert somewhere. And I heard a rumor that they found it, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I actually can fill in some of that. They printed so many copies of that game and could not sell them because it was so bad. So they took all of those copies that they couldn't sell, and there were landfills of copies of this game because they could not move them. That's correct. Yeah. If you're doing a Google search, you probably want to be looking for E.T. Atari landfill.
I am looking at the Wikipedia, and it is saying on September 28th, 1983, Atari had dumped this in New Mexico. It confirmed the story for the newspaper, stating that the discarded inventory came from the Atari plant in El Paso, which was being closed and converted into a recycling facility. Reports noted that the site was guarded to prevent reporters and the public from affirming the content, so no one really knows for sure if it actually happened or not. And then on the 29th, the next day, a layer of concrete was poured over top of the crushed materials, which is a very rare occurrence in waste disposal. The anonymous workman stated the reason for the concrete were there are dead animals down there. We wouldn't want any children to get hurt digging in the dump. So the biggest video game conspiracy of all time. I love it. It's the worst game. There are still copies floating around. You can find it. I'm sure emulators have it, versions of it out there. So if you want to play it, have at it, enjoy it. But yeah, I think that is my super bad one's choice.
All right, I'll take a bad one here. Do you remember the first Superman movie?
Actually, I don't. I didn't watch a lot of the Superman movies growing up.
Okay, so when that game came out, they made a game called Superman 64 because they wanted to, get some extra cash out of Superman. And what could have been the opportunity for an incredible game was garbage. The controls were terrible. You had to push a button to take off. There was a different button to jump and to take off, right? And if you push the jump button in the air, that was your accelerate button, okay? But Superman would only go in the direction that his arms were, right? And so when you take off, he would like this, and he would just straight up in the air like this. And then if you pushed jump, he would just fly straight up in the air, and that was it. And so you had to control his direction with the joypad on the N64, but it was exceptionally difficult because there was a built-in dead zone in the game of like 25%, where there was no kinda control. He would just always be going 100% in the direction that you were pointing him in. And to cap this off, of all the levels that exist in this game, there are I think 5 or 6 what they called action levels, and the rest of it is Lex Luthor talking to you, telling you have to solve his puzzle to get to the next action stage, but solving the puzzle means flying through rings. And I mean only flying through rings that are too small for you to be able to get through using these bad controls. And the levels are, and I'm not fucking with you, 10 minutes of flying through rings for 5 minutes of an action stage for another 2 segments of 10 minutes of flying through rings to get to the next action stage. It was not a good experience.
It looks like IGN gives this game a 3.4 out of 10.
That's generous.
Yeah. Where E.T., the extraterrestrial video game, IGN.
I'd give it a mercy 4.
IGN gives it a 3.5. So actually, Superman gets a worse rating compared to the ET game, but only by 0.1.
Yeah.
But on a positive note, from going from bad ones, and we'll go back to a couple of bad ones. I just kind of want to lighten the mood and go to some of the great games that are out there that are actually based off of movies. And the one that I'm going to talk about here for a second was the Star Wars arcade game, which was a sit-down pilot chair with a joystick in front of you, and you went through 3 levels and 2 bonus levels of 1 level of each movie: Star Wars: A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, followed with in between lightsaber battles, one with Boba Fett and one with Darth Vader. I had spent like hundreds of dollars, which as a kid, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Spent hundreds of dollars in the arcade playing this game. The graphics were incredible. The controls felt great. There were interactive environments in the sense that if you knew where to aim and shoot, you could have things trigger on screen that would help you out. Like dealing with the Wampas and stuff in Empire Strikes Back was an amazing experience. You did speeder racing in Return of the Jedi. You know, you had to fly against both Death Stars, and do the Death Star run. Like, everything about this game was absolutely incredible. You sat in the chair. It was a full body experience.
Yeah, and there were like curtains on the side of the machine that you could pull closed. And it was a joystick that had 2 buttons, and there was a red button on the side that you could push to do something else. And
something special.
Most of it was that, it was like a rail shooter where you'd be there and you'd have your joystick would control where the crosshair was on the screen. And it was this game where I mastered the 2-finger approach to shooting quickly, where you would just because top and bottom button did the same thing, which is shoot your blaster. And so you could just do that, and your heat gauge would just keep going up, but you could keep it high and it would be fine because it would never actually max out. It was incredible. Such a good game. Like, the Battle of Hoth was just you're in the ship flying around, and you get your rail shooter thing where you're trying to taking out the ATSTs and the AT-ATs and firing your tow cables and everything else. It was really good.
Yeah, it was incredible. It
had force feedback. It had force feedback.
Yes.
If you in the lightsaber battles, it would actually push back on your joystick when you
bubble and push
hit
back.
The lightsaber. It was so great.
Yeah.
Surround sound in the cabin.
Yeah, I remember it being the first fully. Actually, it was the second fully interactive arcade game that I really played. The first being, it was like a skateboarding game where you would go up, you would do tricks on a half pipe, and you actually stood on a skateboard and it tilted forward and tilted back. It was a lot of fun, but it wasn't that nothing beats the pure joy that I had playing Star Wars Arcade. I knew that when I got there, I would have $1 worth of tokens. It would take 2 tokens to play, or back in the day when it first came out, it'd be a full $1, and I could take that full $1 and get 20 minutes of gameplay out of it when I was done. Yeah. And in arcade, that's something special. You don't get that experience that very often. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to say about Star Wars, the Star Wars Trilogy Arcade. And if there's another one that you want to talk about, or if you want to bring up, feel free.
Sure. I'm gonna head into some good ones. I'm gonna save the great and amazing ones for you because you wrote both of these in. I'm gonna go for some good ones here. A pretty good one came out somewhat recently was Alien Isolation. And it's worth noting that this one is not directly based on a movie. This one is it's a spin-off that is based on a movie. So it's like a sequel to Alien. It follows the story of the main character's daughter. So in a sense of it being directly based on the movie, it's not, but in the sense of it directly follows and is done because of the movie, it makes it in there. And it was really good. You had to, run away from the alien the entire game, sneak around, hopefully it wouldn't find you. It was absolutely terrifying when it did. And then, so you were trying to solve this mystery of what was going on the space station and figure out what had happened to your mothership when it had come back and all that stuff. It was really good.
Okay. Very cool. On that note, I do want to talk about a game that I thoroughly enjoyed. It was not It was not directly based off of the movie, but it was definitely considered to be the third movie, and that would be Ghostbusters: The Game. Um, the beautiful thing about this is they got all of the characters back to do the voice work for their characters, so it was very much like a lot of people have been clamoring for a third Ghostbusters movie, and it almost happened a few times. But this is what we're going to get. The game came out. It controls really, really well. Capturing ghosts felt great.
Yeah.
Listening to the Peter Venkman talk, and and Ray and Egon and all those guys, and it brought back a lot. It brought back the feels, like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Growing up,
even the secretary is the original voice actor or the actor, actress. Yeah,
actress. Yeah. No, they did.
And
they did a really good job.
This came out, I want to say, 2 or 3 years before Harold Ramis passed away, so they have all of the original actors doing the voices.
Yeah.
Which is pretty incredible because Bill Murray actually came out several times over the years, and his consistent answer to "Will you do Ghostbusters 3 if they do it?" is "Show me a script." Like, he's always wanted to see a script before he says he does anything, because like his opinions on it, I think, are like the first one was great and the second one was all right, and show me a script is what he always said. So
because obviously a third one was just going to be a cash grab, but he didn't want to put he didn't want to sully the characters for any more than they already kind of had been in the second one, which I still think was an excellent movie, but
yeah. And if you watch any kind of interviews based on like the production of this game and even interviews with the cast and everything else, they'll do like retrospectives on it and looking back, they'll say like this was essentially the third movie. So the actors who were in it were pretty convinced that like this was actually what the third movie should have been like.
Would have been. Yeah.
And the game itself was actually pretty darn good. You should, if you haven't played it, go check it out. I know
it holds up really, really
there was
well.
a little bit of a mix-up with some of the publishing company, and they took it off the Steam store for a while, but it is back, so you can get it on Steam again.
Very cool. Very, very cool. So yeah, I also highly recommend people playing it. If you haven't had the opportunity to, it's a very linear game. Like, you just go from point A to point B and you accomplish stuff as you go. Yeah. But the jokes are there, the characters are the same, and they don't miss a beat. So it's definitely worth a play.
For sure. Another pretty good one was the Super Star Wars trilogy for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And this one was produced by LucasArts, and it was a side-scroller, and it was pretty well made. It was actually 3 games on separate cartridges. This one, Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and Super Return of the Jedi. You can play as Luke Skywalker. I believe at some point, like, you can play as Han Solo, you can play as Chewbacca. At some point, I think you can play as Leia. I think. But there are levels where like they use mode 7, where like you'll speed through the desert on the land speeder, and like they take some liberties with the actual story of Star Wars, but the games are fun. There's levels where you jump up on the sand crawler, and it's good. I play it. It's very hard, but play it. It's good.
Okay. A game that I want to talk to that's near and dear to my heart, but is not a good game at all, is Jaws for the Nintendo. It's made by LJN Toys, which is not really a video game publisher, which should lead you to believe like what we're kind of dealing with here. The music was god awful. I think the quotation that I can kind of go with here is it sounds like the Jaws riff is being mouth farted by a goat, which is pretty terrible. The game is absolutely god awful. The goal in the game is to swim underwater and collect shells until you have enough shells to power up your ship to go after Jaws in the water. And then at that point, when you have enough power, you just hit them once and the game's over. So there's no challenge in it at all. A fellow Twitch broadcaster who goes by Grand Pooh Bear primarily streams Super Mario Maker and Super Mario 3 and that kind of content. He will speed run Jaws and beat it in about 4 minutes. It's pretty without any kind of bugs, just straight up beat it in 4 minutes. And when this game came out, it was $50. So definitely not worth it, but for the speedrunning aspect of it, I think it's a great game to get started on speedrunning.
Yeah, we can fit it inside of the
But
Awful Games Done Quick block.
yeah, it generally ends up being a bonus incentive for any Pooh Bear GDQ block run, which is hilarious. But definitely not worth it. To be fair though, the graphics aren't terrible for NES game, but no, you're literally in a scuba suit just underwater the entire game dodging jellyfish. It's not fun. I give it a -8 out of 10.
Well, this is probably not as bad as that, but Dick Tracy, you've seen that movie?
I have seen Dick Tracy.
Back in the day.
Here's the thing
That
about
yellow
Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy, as a lighting designer, did the use of primary color in Dick Tracy fantastic. Warren Beatty's a great actor, did a great job. But if you ever go back, just focus on the use of color and how bright and how vibrant everything looks. And it looks like a comic. That's what they were aiming for, was to translate the comic book into a movie.
Yeah.
And they did such a great job. Flat Top looked great. Everybody, like every villain fit the role. It was like what Batman and Robin should have been, but never was.
Fair enough.
But anyway, I digress.
No, you're good. I'm sad to say that the video game spin-off of it did not do very well. It was actually pretty rough. The concept of it seemed pretty cool. It had side-scrolling levels. It had levels where you drove the car. There were little dudes on the side of the street who would try to shoot you, but it took place in a top-down city. And you play as Dick Tracy, and you would walk outside, you'd get in your car, and you could either walk or drive down the street, and you would drive around, sort of Grand Theft Auto, if you picture that sort of thing, but you can't, like, run people over.
Right.
And you would drive to the place that you needed to go, and it was a free, so you could drive wherever you wanted, you could go to any building you needed, first or second or whatever, but you had to follow the story if you wanted to actually progress anything. You would go in, you would talk to the person, you'd do a side-scrolling level, maybe shoot some bad guys along the way, talk to the person, get back out to your car, drive to the next place, and investigate until you solve the crime, right? Well, unfortunately, the driving mechanics are really terrible, and you only had like 3 hit points, and it was very difficult to aim or shoot with the gun levels, and game overs were absolutely punishing because you had to start right from the beginning, and it just was a terrible game. I might be being a little bit more mean to it than I should be, but if you play it for yourself, you will experience the frustration that my childhood self had. So,
yeah,
that one was rough.
Okay. That's fair. The last one I have on my list is a great and amazing one, but before we get to that, do you want to get through some of the other ones that you have on the list
Yeah,
as well?
sure. So I wrote down a couple of them that were decent, right? Like okay games. I wrote down Stargate for the Super Nintendo. Based on the original Stargate movie, it was a side-scroller where O'Neill had to go through and do the general plot of Stargate. You went through, you jumped on a bunch of things, you shot some guys, there were some boss fights. Health was pretty forgiving. A couple of boss fights were fairly difficult, but if you tried them a couple times, it'd be okay. It was pretty good. The graphics were nice. Actually, very smooth animations in that game. The color palette was really nice. The controls felt pretty good. In terms of just like being a decent SNES side-scrolling game, I would call Stargate like the most average Super Nintendo game of like in terms of quality that you would get on that console. Generally, a very high bar for quality. So, a good one. I also wrote down the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Those series of games for the Xbox, PS2, GameCube. Pretty good, just like top-down action or isometric view action games, just running around hacking and slashing dudes. A lot of good fun there. I jotted down Jurassic Park for the Super Nintendo. I would even extend this to the second one. Just another top-down view, walking around, solving the mystery in Jurassic Park. Not at all the main plot of Jurassic Park. You had to get raptor eggs and shut down, like, throw gas into a volcano and prevent the raptors from spawning, and then, like, rescue the boat and sail off. But it's, like, different story, same characters. Pretty fun game. Then the last one I had written down was Indiana Jones' Greatest Adventures for the Super Nintendo. I like this game.
Which I'm surprised you didn't put it higher on the list, because I know you thoroughly enjoy playing it. So.
Oh yeah, I speedrun it. Yeah, but it's it's not a great game. It's not a bad game. It's I would call this an average quality game. It was made by LucasArts, same guys who did the Super Star Wars trilogy. But for whatever reason, this was 3 movies on 1 cartridge instead of 3 cartridges. Whatever.
Yeah.
Good game though. Good game.
All right, this one actually like, literally popped into my head as we were going through some of these decent ones. Um, Pretty much any Disney game that came out for the Sega Genesis,
Yeah.
like The Lion King, Aladdin, like they were okay games. They weren't great games by any means. They were actually pretty difficult games. They just but they were all side scrollers, platformers.
Yep.
And they controlled okay. They didn't control great, but they controlled okay. They were very challenging, like a la Mega Man 2, where if you weren't like pixel perfect on some jumps, then you were going to have a hard time. But I mean, like, they just straight up followed the plot of the Disney movie. Like, every level was a different scene, and the goal was to get through it and save the princess, and do whatever you had to do. So I definitely decent movie spin-off games. Pretty much anything made. I don't know who the developer were for those games. I feel like they went through the same developer for all those Disney games.
Virgin Interactive.
Virgin Interactive.
I'm almost 100% sure.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, all in all, like, as games based off of a movie, perfectly acceptable.
Virgin games. Yeah.
Pretty decent. Yeah. Perfectly acceptable games in my mind. Although the game that I think, hands down, the best, number one movie spin-off game, this changed the course of a lot of gaming for generation, and that would be GoldenEye 007 for the N64. Gaming would not be the same today if that game did not exist. It was the first real game that I can think of on the N64 that, other than like Mario Party, that really encouraged 4 people play and rewarded you for playing with people. The story was good. The in-game story was a lot of fun as well. Unlocking the characters was a lot of fun. The maps were the PvP maps were very well thought out and well designed. Yeah. Having interesting game modes like Golden Gun, where you could instant kill with one shot, or like all that kind of stuff. It really kind of brought it up to another level to give it another challenge side. You had Jaws, and you had Oddjob as special characters that had height advantages and disadvantages. I mean, all in all, like, they knocked that one out of the park. The graphics were great for the time. Granted, they don't hold up very well now. If you look back at it, you're kind of like, oh god. But I mean, like,
the thing about GoldenEye 64 is it's a period piece. It's excellent.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't hold up. If you go back and try to play it, you're going to find yourself jarred by that you have to hold down right trigger and then aim with the stick on inverted and then use Z to shoot with it. Like, by and large, it works pretty well. Like the C buttons let you strafe, and like it was pretty, like, it's still decent enough to play, but you're going to find yourself being like, ooh. Still,
but
an excellent game.
Yeah,
I would agree with you. Probably the best movie spinoff game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
For
like,
sure.
it just changed it for the generation that is my generation, that we really kind of hit our gaming stride during this time. Which, actually, if you think about it, I think GoldenEye is like 20 years old now at this point.
I think it came out in '98. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, the soundtrack. You had the you had the straight up gold.
It's 21 years old. Came out in '97.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So, I mean, dating myself here, like, straight up bar mitzvah time is when this game came out for me. Just becoming into a man, games needed to be a little bit more challenging. You had the different game modes, like You Only Live Twice, The Man with the Golden Gun, License to Kill, death matches, all sorts of ridiculous stuff. Yeah. So
it's worth noting that Bond games after that actually managed to stay pretty good for a while.
No, I don't remember a single one being
The World
good.
Is Not Enough was pretty solid.
See, I don't remember. I can't remember it at all, which just kind of means to me that like
it deteriorated. I give you that they deteriorated fast, but like GoldenEye was the peak, and then they like did this. But like, they were still up here. They were pretty good, and they got to a point, right? But I think The World Is Not Enough was a really good one. That one was on 64, and I think it got remade on PS2. Yeah,
it's possible.
So that was a good one too.
We got some honorable mentions here as well. And these are games that I find that you and I both find interesting because they're based off of franchises to a degree, but they're not necessarily based off of a movie per se or off of an exact movie.
Yeah. They're based off of. They wouldn't have happened without the movie, but they're not based on the movie.
Right.
So I think. Well, I'll just start this one. Jurassic Park Trespasser, terrible game. Fascinating concept, terrible game. The idea, it was the first game where they wanted to really experiment with what if we gave the player a physics-based interaction where they would control the hands of your character. So you would walk around like this the whole game, and then you could like open and close your hands and you could rotate them. But you could also rotate them 360 degrees, like just keep doing that, which was kind of weird. And like the mechanics weren't really great, but it was an interesting game. If I wouldn't recommend playing it, but if you get a YouTube video of it, give it a look.
Give it a watch. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I put this on the list, and it's pretty much the Lego series of games,
like all of them.
Fill in the blank, whether it's Harry Potter or
Batman,
Star Wars,
Lord of the Rings,
whatever you want to put in there. And it was so successful that they spawned a movie based off of the game that was based off of a movie.
And the movie was great.
And you know what I believe that there is a game based off of the movie, which is based off of the game that's based off of the movie.
There is, yeah. It's a game based on a movie based on games based on movies. Yeah, absolutely.
Like the meta level is so real, it blows my mind.
For sure.
For that reason alone, definitely deserves an honorable mention. I want to see how far the rabbit hole will go with this one. I don't know how much further. It can go.
I think they're at Tron levels. I think they've reached the bottom. They found Tron. The only other honorable mention I wanted to make was just a couple of Star Wars games. There have been a lot of really good and a lot of really bad Star Wars games. I just picked two that I thought were excellent. Knights of the Old Republic. Fantastic game. Like
great game.
Genre defining. I don't think it's genre defining. I think what it is BioWare was in the middle of just a decade-long spree of making unbelievably excellent games, and one of them happened to be a Star Wars game. And then the other one I wanted to mention was Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, another excellent game. You play the role of Kyle Katarn. That
legendary character.
Yeah. He's no longer canon, unfortunately.
No longer canon.
He is by far my favorite Star Wars character, period, but he's not canon, but whatever. And I know you had also mentioned Rogue Squadron.
Disney.
Seriously, I know. You gave us Force Awakens? All right. That's about it for our movie spin-off games. Did you have anything else you wanted to mention, or have we covered them all?
I think that's about it on what I could think of off of the top of my head. I did want to mention that the Lego Movie video game, which is what it's officially called, does have a 9 out of 10 rating on Steam, and 94% of the Google users like that game, which is ridiculous at this point.
That is really
but
good.
apparently it's a $20 game now.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's like in range to pick up for a weekend, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're all good. You know, they're all great games. So very much that. I guess at this point we haven't hit this point where we've run out of topic.
Well, I've got one short thing. I've got one short thing to mention. Sure. This is not technically based off a movie, although there was a movie. The NES game DuckTales was excellent. I know we're straying a little bit. It's based off of a TV show.
You know what? I'll give it
such
to you.
a good
I'll
one.
give it to you.
Such a good one.
DuckTales was actually the first video game that I beat all by myself when I was a kid.
All right. Life is like a hurricane.
That one holds special meaning to my heart. And apparently it is now a cartoon again. And I heard the theme song, and I'm very upset.
You're upset?
I'm upset. Listen to the new theme song and listen to the old theme song and tell me which one's better.
Oh, no, the old one's better. But like, I watched the first episode of the new series, and I got to tell you, it actually still feels like DuckTales. Like, they didn't insult anything. Like, they actually did a pretty decent job at remaking it. It kept that sense of adventure and journey and just a lot of cool stuff, you know? Just fun.
Very cool. Through. I will have to locate it and find it.
I do want to make mention. Online.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I do want to make mention that a thing that I thoroughly enjoy, which is the Legend of Zelda randomizer, the spring 2018 Zelda randomizer tournament is finally done. 512 people entered. One person came out the champion. ALG Andy, who I have been watching for a while. He's an awesome. You can watch a lot of his stuff on YouTube. He puts a lot of runs up on there. If you're interested into getting into randomizer, Andy does a very, very good job explaining all of the glitches, all of the different little pieces of tech. He explains routing really well and why it's important. He's very good at breaking down randomizer. That being said, there's some more Legend of Zelda tournaments coming up. Randomizer is not one. They're doing one that's overworld glitches only. And I believe they're going to do a Key Sanity one sometime soon, where randomizer Key Sanity is like the next level of randomizer, where not only are just the items randomized, but also the keys for all the dungeons. So you could find the big key to Turtle Rock, like in Kakariko Village.
Oh.
And yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it just adds that little extra. And they do palette swaps in the game, too. So it's visually a much more exciting game. So they're gonna do that in the upcoming months, and I'm pretty stoked for that. And yeah.
All right.
That being said,
that's it.
It's been a good week. Yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a good show. Yeah, this upcoming week's going to be incredible. If you're getting on board with World of Warcraft, I hope to see you on there. If you're trying to finish up Destiny 2 Solstice of Heroes, I hope to see you up there too. I know a lot of people are just a few triumph points away. Monster Hunter World, we'll be playing a boatload of that over the course of the week. I know that's been your flavor of the week currently, and I know you're thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah, it's true. I actually have, hang on, let me grab my Steam list here. I have 75 hours in Monster Hunter World right now.
But how much of that is like you leaving the game on overnight when you go to sleep?
No.
No,
like actual gameplay, yeah.
Like, didn't the game come out like 4 days ago?
Yeah. I've got pretty much a full work weekend over the course of a weekend. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. It's been fantastic. Check us out on the internet. Our names on the internet are directly beneath us. I'm Average Goatee. That is Stunt Mustard. He streams. I stream. We have a Discord and a Twitter. And you should come check us out and hang out, and we would love to hear any suggestions or feedback. If you guys have anything that you would like to hear in a podcast in the future, a topic you'd like talked about, or a game that you think is really cool, or if there's some event that happens in the gaming world that you think is just crazy and we should cover it as news, hit us up, let us know. We will try our best to make that fit into our planning.
And something we don't really talk about all that much that we should probably bring up as well is that we have a YouTube channel as well. We put all the videos up so you can watch them post-show if you don't have the video on demand option available on Twitch. Do you know what the YouTube link is?
Offhand, I do not, but I know it's you know what? It should be beneath the stream, actually. But,
I don't think it's there.
Let me go over to our channel page and actually get it, because we have that power.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the meantime, I will just remind everyone to hop onto the Discord, interact with us. We're pretty friendly people. Throw us a couple of follows. I mean, we're here. We have about 17 right now. We're trying to get our way up to 50 and start working our way to become an affiliate.
Yeah.
So feel free. You just posted me the link.
Yeah, I got to send it to you so you can put it in Discord, because if I take you down, your picture goes away.
Yeah, absolutely. So
technical background.
We need to rename our channel because that is a whole bunch of stuff.
We cannot do that until we have like a certain number of subscribers and like revenue and all that jazz.
Understood.
So we're stuck with that link for now.
Okay, well, it is going into the Discord currently, so come join us there and come get the link.
Yep.
Give us a like, a subscribe. Hit that like button. Pound that subscribe button.
Oh, God, no, stop. Don't do it. Oh, God, no, the sellout.
But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. We'll see you next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on twitch.com, on twitch.tv/2dudes1up. My name is Ian. This is Chris, and we wish you guys a good week and happy gaming.
Godspeed.